Lisa the Painful treads the line between wacky RPG adventure and soul-crushing tragedy. The game pulls no punches when it comes to the depressing themes. Lisa starts off with the backstory of your main character, Brad, showing both the abuse he suffered from his father and the world's descent into a post-apocalyptic wasteland. In the middle of nowhere, he finds a baby girl, all alone. To Brad, the baby represents innocence, a small piece of hope in an otherwise completely fucked up world. He vows to do everything in his power to make sure no harm comes to her. Fast forward 10 or so years and your kid has been kidnapped. Getting her back will be your driving motivation throughout the story. The actual game itself is a goofy, side-scroller, Earthbound-inspired RPG. For most of the game, you're bouncing from place to place, collecting teammates and leveling them up. Much like Earthbound, Lisa doesn't rely on wizards or knights or other cliché RPG character tropes. Instead, the teammates you find are a middle-aged Power Ranger, a fish lawyer, a depressed truck driver, and a man named Crisp LaDaddy. Now that's fucked up. The party members are what interested me the most about the game. There's 30 of them spread throughout the game, though you have to decide on 3 to fit your 4-party team. This is a much more difficult decision than you may think due to how wacky and interesting every single party member is. And every single one of them is completely playable. There aren't any that are so bad you can't use them on your team. So despite being a sort of story-driven game, Lisa has a shitload of replayability because you want to mix and match all the characters. The combat itself is surprisingly layered. Most turn-based games just revolve around you spamming the strongest move and occasionally throwing in a healing item. But in Lisa, you're always trying to find ways to combo together the right abilities to beat the enemy in the most effective way, or building your team to have the right balance of AoE, healing, and status effects. With certain characters, in order to use their special moves to the greatest effect, you have to input a certain combination of attacks, which helps you actually pay attention to the fights instead of auto-playing your way through them. What really draws you into the game, especially early on when the combat is more simplistic, is the whimsical nature of it. Despite the bleak setting, the world is made up of these zany characters and really stupid moments. It plays on your perception of what a typical RPG is supposed to be and constantly thwarts your expectations for a funny gag. Look at this goofy little guy riding a deer. No! The game intertwines the humor with horrible themes of death, abuse, and the complete depravity that humans are capable of. Because of how funny the game can be, you need an occasional reminder that people are awful. I mean, the game is set in a post-apocalyptic world where all but one woman has been wiped out. As the game progresses, the serious tones come to the surface more. The pill you've been taking to increase damage is not just an attack boost, but likely a highly addictive opioid. The reason that hundreds of men have for tracking down a little girl is probably a bit depraved, and the years of hardship clearly start to take their toll on Brad as he begins to lash out more and more. The first time you get a glance into the depths of depravity the game is willing to take you happens within the first 3 hours. One of your party members is taken by a group of bandits and held hostage. The leader of the bandits gives you a simple choice. You can either let them kill one of your party members that you've been traveling with for the past few hours, or you can let them take one of your arms. This is how Lisa disturbs you. It isn't just watching degeneracy, it's forcing you into being an active participant. By the way, the decision I mentioned is not the most fucked up one you have to make. I had another one I was considering using as an example, but it's probably best to leave that one unspoiled. Now, I don't want to tell you about the best parts of Lisa without telling you about the downsides. Firstly, the game moves slow as shit. For the first couple hours of the game, you have no bicycle and your walk speed is this. Also, if you fall off a cliff, you get a game over immediately and have to start from your last save point, which can sometimes be quite a while back. And the game knows how annoying this is and specifically decides to put certain ledges at the beginning of the screen so you have a split second to react to it.
Fuck!
Also, certain decisions become a lot easier when you realize you can go back to a previous save point and prepare for them. You can swap out your team for characters you don't really care about to cheese your way through tough decisions, and sleeping, which previously distilled a feeling of dread due to the fact that a variety of horrible things can happen to you at random, becomes a lot less dreadful when you can just run to a previous save point repeatedly and get the best possible outcome. Additionally, you can take fall damage if you fall less than 2 blocks, which, while funny at first, becomes a lot less funny over time. Luckily, you can increase the range once you get the bicycle, but it's still annoying. The game can be really beautiful and haunting at times, which makes you wonder why there isn't more parts of the game that look like this instead of this. And finally, my biggest complaint is that the game only takes about 12 hours to complete, which will leave you feeling fucking hollow. It's honestly such an incredible game. If it were to be fluffed out to more like 20 hours just to give you more time with the characters, it would feel much more fleshed out. Yes, I'm aware there's a DLC. I've gotten this far in the video without saying this, so I have to now. Lisa is like Undertale. Yes, it is a goofy, Earthbound-inspired, turn-based RPG that uses its humor to hide the more fucked up elements of it. If you like Undertale even a little bit, you should definitely jump on Lisa. If you like Pokemon even a little bit, you should get Lisa. If you like good games, you should probably play Lisa. Or don't. It's up to you, really.